how to determine who to team up with. Once again, my name is Dominique and I am founder of Ace Ambition. I'm also a personal development coach, and I'm helping people move with a purpose, in their purpose. And if you ever need any guidance, any direction, any coaching that's going to help you get to point A to point B, if you're just struggling with understanding what direction I need to go on my project, whatever the case may be, feel free to get in contact with me. Dex, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Dexter Peggins, author, strategic life strategist. I don't know, but no, I do life coaching as well as executive leadership development and training under my company, Kingdom Solutions Consulting. And so I enjoy this. This is what I do as well. It's just kind of help people not only tap into purpose, but discover, what they're here for. I feel like that's what it's really about. So we have the purpose conversation, we have the potential conversation, and most importantly, we have the transformation conversation.
Right. And I think there's two important things people just don't know about, and I think it's very important for them to know about it, because if they know about these two things, it's going to really take them to the next level. And those two things is my ebook, Executing Your Vision, that came out January 22nd. And I believe you just released a book as well, right?
I did. Just released my latest book called Perspective. You can get it on Amazon, the Kindle store, as well as, thank you. So definitely really take on several different subject matters on there. We're talking about overcoming emotional hurts, being successful, and even setting up future generations to carry the torch. And so I believe it'll be a book that really inspires you and motivates you to be the best person that God has purposed you to be.
Right. So, how to determine who to team up with.
Yes.
Look, I'm somebody, I have my vision. I know I can't do this by myself.
Sure.
I know I need to develop a team, but still, how do I go about that? What's something that I need to know or implement or do that's going to help me know or determine who to team up with?
And so, last week we talked about mainly from the perspective of what do we need to do before we step out and make those connections. And so I think we came to a mutual consensus that, there's a lot of things that we have to get resolved within ourselves. Mainly, you have to understand the cause, or there has to be a vision that drives you to wanting to collaborate. And so with that being said, I would say definitely, first thing first, you want to team up with people who are committed to the vision. Because at the end of the day, the vision or the cause, whatever you call it, that's going to be the foundational thing that holds everything together. Best believe when you're partnering with people, there's going to be frustration.
Right.
There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that kind of comes into play that may discourage you from moving forward. And what the vision does is the vision keeps you on track. The vision is the thing that you can always kind of go back to and say, okay, hey, we may have lost focus, or we lost sight of what we're pursuing. This is what we all came to an agreement saying that this is what brought us together. And so you want to connect with people who are committed to the same vision that you are.
And I made this example last time we went live, and during the time where, because the killings are always happening between police officers and young black men, but there was a time frame where every time there was another young brother that was shot and killed, it caused everyone to say, okay, let's meet up. And I remember, some guys, they get very passionate, and they'll contact everyone, but there was no specific focus on maybe the population that they wanted to work with. Whether it's kids, whether it's adults or women that's dealing with X, Y, and Z, or older adults that need X, Y, and Z, whatever the case may be. I always thought that you have to get folks who are kind of on the same page of what you're really trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
You know, so my thing was, before you called everyone together, maybe say, hey, look, my focus is the youth. I think right now we need to get everybody that's focused and interested in the youth. That way, everyone that you contacted, they already know, okay, this brother is focusing on, or the vision is mentoring the youth.
Yeah.
That way, you're already scratching off a certain percentage of people. I think a lot of people are let down because they're not sharing that in the beginning, and then when you're in the meeting or those meetings, everybody tend to drop off. Where is everybody at? Well, they wasn't really focused on that. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So I really do believe before you even have those type of meetings, you know, let everybody know, okay, this is what we're going to do, or this is at the very minimum, this is the population we're going to focus on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, because what that does is that allows the person to gauge where they're at, you know, to say, okay, yeah, that's a good cause, but that's not my cause. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves and get to that point where I said, man, well, Dominique, that's my friend. I know he's going to do great things, but that's really not what I'm passionate about. And we can have that kind of morale with each other. We can have that kind of relationship where I'm not getting you, you know, excited about the fact that, yeah, Dexter's on board, when the reality I'm not, you know. And so, yeah, you have to up front be able to start articulating what this coming together is really about.
Yeah.
You know, and I think once we do that, you know, we'll start to gain traction from the onset quicker, as opposed to a lot of the back and forth that normally takes place, you know, when you're trying to build something.
Yeah, and I can't lie, because, you know, we're really involved in the community. We're community guys. Yeah. And I kind of cringe because I know their heart is in the right place. Yeah. But when I see it, I'm just thinking, this ain't going to work, because you're just bringing folks together, and let's just all just talk about, let's just all bring these ideas. Yeah. We've been a part of enough of those type of meetings, and we just know, like, look, I know this is for a good cause, but it's not going to work. Because everybody now, this is the key thing. Everybody now is coming into, okay, this is what needs to be done. This is what needs to be done. This is what needs to be done. And when you already say, all right, this is what we're focusing on, at the very minimum saying, like, look, we're going to focus on the youth. And then we'll decide how we want to address the youth. That helps even more. You get what I'm saying?
I do. I think one of, you know, personally, one of the most frustrating things is to find yourself having committed to something, and months down the line, you're still having conversations that you should have had at the beginning. Yeah. Because what happens is that you're losing energy, and now you're starting to get discouraged about even seeing the whole thing through. Right. And so at least from the onset, you can say, okay, yeah, we can do that. I can come up with, we can, you know, conceptualize what we need to do.
What's up, Tawana?
And start doing it. But when you don't have that clarity from the beginning, you know, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, a lot of
later on.
Big failure. And like we said before, if you're doing something like that and bringing everybody together, you already have a certain level of trust. That's why they're, and credibility as well. That's why they actually took time out of their schedule to actually meet. But the last thing you want to do is lose that credibility and trust. Definitely. But I think one thing that's a little underrated, and I might be probably using a little the wrong way, but I would say really trust your discernment.
Yeah.
And
still one point, man.
My bad, man. I really trust your discernment. And one of the biggest habits that we have, if we just don't trust what we feel, what we sense, we call it the voice, we call it a vibe, energy, whatever the case may be. It's discernment. That's all it is. But like I was having a conversation with Dex, and with discernment, it gives you guidance in a direction. And or it gives you a decision that you need to make. But for some reason, or sometimes that decision or direction doesn't always make sense.
Yeah.
But we just know that that's the direction that we need to go, whatever, based upon what we're feeling and what we're hearing and so forth and so forth. I think we all been in situations where it just felt right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It just felt right.
Yeah.
And we all been in situations where we thought later on to say, you know what, something told me not to do that. Something told me that this wasn't going to work out. And I think if we get in the habit of getting in tune of that feeling, of that sense, whatever that is, then we'll be able to better understand, okay, I'm not getting that feeling like I used to get. And it may not always feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's just not rubbing well with me right now. You get what I'm saying? But sometimes what we'll do is we'll position ourselves in an environment or a certain place where we're not even supposed to be in.
Man, you better talk.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And our discernment already told us, go here, stay, go, stop, there, that person, not that person, whatever the case may be. And I really do think if we get in tune with our discernment and we really start trusting that, because we done all been in situations too many times where we always say, you know what, that never did feel right in the beginning.
And even with that being said, you have to understand that when you do that, there's a greater potential of some damage being done.
A lot of damage.
If you stay, because you're at a place and there's no safeguards for you when you're at a place, and then you don't know how far you're actually pushing yourself off course of the thing that you're really supposed to be doing.
Right.
You know, there might be relationships that you're missing out on the other side because you're not in the right position. And so, yeah, discernment is oh my God, you have to sharpen that. You know, whatever you call it. You know, people of faith, we say, you know, the Spirit leads us, and you know, some people might just say, well, you know, I had this, something just told me, or you know, I had this sense. But much of what you're saying is learn to trust it. You know.
Exactly. And those of you just tuning in, we're on the next or topic number 2, how to determine who to team up with. Our previous topic was what to do before reaching out. So this is a whole series, and this is a really powerful series on the art of collaboration. We really want people to collaborate more effectively. We really want people to feel more comfortable about collaborating and developing a team, working as a team, and understanding when it comes down to your vision, that project, that nonprofit, that business, whatever the case may be, it's very, very important to understand that it's not just about you. Yeah. And understand that it's a lot bigger than you. You're going to need some assistance in some form or fashion. So I really hope this is helping some people. I think that one thing we always say is just do your research.
Yeah. Just
simply do your research. And we have so many tools now that it's really, in many cases, no excuse. I think, you know, sometimes when people just reach out, I just check out their profile, you know what I'm saying? I just check out their website. I check out what their mission is, what they have done in the past, who they've been working with. And usually things start to add up.
I mean, that's good because, you know, one of the things I wanted to talk about was, you know, last week we talked about knowing why a cause is important to you. You should know the other person's agenda.
Exactly.
You know, you should know their why. What are the motives? And if you know the other person's motives, it's actually easier to build a relationship of trust when you know why somebody's in it.
Exactly.
If they're in it for the wrong reason, then ultimately what you all are endeavoring to build is not going to be sustained.
Exactly. And I'm taking another point of yours as well. Just because they have good intentions doesn't mean it's good for you. And I think sometimes we can get so caught up with this, man, this sounds so good. Sounds so good. But like we went back, is that really what you're passionate about?
Yeah.
Because eventually it's going to come a time where you're going to say, man, this doesn't motivate me. Like, you know, this ain't really getting me up in the morning. I'm not really getting this spark because you wasn't ever really passionate about it. So I had to really, because we're involved in the community in so many ways. So the average person is going to get in contact with us about something that's going to be impactful to people in some form of fashion. And you almost feel like, because we have a big heart, you almost feel obligated, like I have to be a part of this. You know, they didn't have to get in contact. You know what I'm saying? And we have to really understand that I have to stay in my lane. I think last year I really understood the context of that. Stay in your lane, because everything is not for you. Even if it is for a good cause, you don't need to be involved in
it. And here's the danger in that. Especially, you know, people who deal with maybe rejection or always wanting to have been a part of something. When all of a sudden people start to reach out to them, it's almost like it validates that feeling that they've always had. You're going to mess around and burn yourself out
real quick,
because you're going to be trying to do too much, and what's going to end up happening is you're not going to have the energy to fully commit to the thing that you're supposed to commit. And it's going to fail, and it's going to suffer miserably because you're not mentally there, you're not emotionally there. One thing that I've learned, and one thing that I've really had to just kind of settle myself on, is that people have no issue asking.
They sure
People have no issue asking.
They really don't.
And if they see that you are, willing to give your time, they're going to drain your time. You know, and so you have to you have to learn to put up your own safeguards and still ask yourself, how does this contribute towards ultimately the vision that I have for my life and the vision of the thing that I'm supposed to be doing? And you need to be able to determine, hey, this is in line with it or it's not. It's okay to say, you know what, I don't think I'm the right person for that. You know, there's some causes that I like, that financially I can get behind. But energy and time, I've had to conclude that I'm not the person for it.
Right. And like you said, you can't be involved in everything. You cannot be involved in everything. Just being involved in everything that we've been involved in, and the people that have been contacting us, we kind of develop a questionnaire for people. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are questions that you just, every time you get done dealing with people, you just thought, okay, I could have asked this question a long time ago, and I would have just known from Jump Street that this ain't a go. You know, and I really do think we have to develop a mental questionnaire for people when you just get some type of feeling and you just don't know, and you just need more clarity, you know. And I think a lot of people have to be mindful that a lot of folks been hurt. A lot of folks been stabbed in the back. A lot of folks been played. A lot of folks been taken advantage of. And we have to get to the point with people. We have to. I mean, because if your intentions are pure, because I'm not gonna lie, just last month somebody just got in contact with me, and I know this person, and I was like, you're not getting to the point with me. You're not getting to why are you really contacting me? And it's almost to the point. It's not almost, but you coming off shady. You got to be hiding something. And if you're not willing to get to the point with me through email, through inbox, there's certain things that I shouldn't have to wait. In certain situations, there's certain things that I shouldn't have to wait to be face to face and sit down with you. You know what I'm saying? And you should be able to explain certain things with me before we even meet face to face in some cases, because people, just like you said, people don't have any problem asking. People don't have no problem wasting your time as well.
True.
You get what I'm saying? And the more we get involved in, the more you appreciate the time that you have. And hey, there's certain things I need to know before we meet up.
And here's the thing about that. When I was in the military, I would always tell my soldiers that as you move up in rank, there's almost like a trajectory where it goes like this. This is you, and say this is the soldiers. And in between that space is, all of the other responsibilities that you now have. And so you don't have that type of time or leverage to always be one-on-one.
Right.
And so as you're moving forward with your vision and the things that you're supposed to be doing, there's going to be a whole bunch of other things that you got to ensure are going correctly. And so if I'm in relationship with you, I should be able to respect the fact that you're doing all of these things. I don't have to hit you with all the pleasantries like, oh, Dominique, it's a good opportunity. No, I respect the fact that
a lot of those.
that you have, you're on the time schedule. You're a fiance. You have a fiance. You're in a relationship. You're in school. You work. You do your community engagement. That's a lot of energy. And so why am I going to sit here and waste your time,
right,
especially if I'm already in a relationship with you? So, hey, Dominique, look, I have this thing going on. This is what the expectation is. Can you support?
It really is that simple.
There's no hard feelings. I mean, at the end of the day, the answer is either yes or no. And so we have to start getting to that place. And I think that we, as the people who are safeguarding our time, we should start demanding that. We should set that expectation that, like, hey, look, just shoot it to me straight. What's going on? Yeah. And yes, I can do it, or no, I can't.
Yeah, we have to start demanding that expectation. I really like that. We really do. And I know a good one especially with network marketing. Do you want to grow your business? I mean,
kind of. That's
that's always the goal. We want to, and that's the thing. I can always tell when somebody's network marketing, involved in network marketing, and I have nothing against them, but let me know.
Yeah.
let me know, because I shouldn't have to beat it up out of you. If I have to beat stuff out of you to get some answers, you already lost me. I already taught myself, you know what, if I got to go through this process, if I got to go through this frustration, it really ain't worth it. Yeah.
Hey, you're right about that, son. Your time is definitely precious. Even as you're talking about growth, I think one of the things is, as it relates to, how do we determine who to team up with, there has to be an environment where growth is actually encouraged, both individually and collectively. And what I mean by that is that if we're teaming up together, we're saying that, hey, we're pursuing this vision. We can't just be in position where we're stagnant. And I think sometimes, much to what you were saying earlier, is that, you can like somebody, you can have that good feeling about the person. Everybody can be, passionate about the vision. But the reality is that if there's no growth, there's an issue. And we have to assess what's going on as far as why are we not growing. Could the issue be, right person in the wrong position? Or could the issue just be wrong person, wrong position?
Right.
And so these are some of the conversations that you have to have as it relates to partnering up with the right people. Because at the end of the day, the vision is what we're pursuing.
Right.
But are we growing in our ability to make that vision a reality?
That's awesome. And I think when we know, because back then we said we had to understand what our needs are.
Yeah.
We also have to understand, does that person have the ability to fulfill that need? I think it's very important as well. And if you don't quite understand what your needs are, it's going to be very hard to identify, is that someone to team up with? But you have to really analyze, does that person have what it takes? Does that person have the skill set? Does that person have the gift to really fulfill what your needs are? And if they don't, you have to really ask yourself, what are you doing? What's the purpose you actually reaching out to that person and trying to determine if that person should team up with you?
I had the opportunity to preach a message, several years ago, and I was talking about Moses. And in this particular story, it says that there was a battle going on, and when Moses would hold his staff up high, the children of Israel were winning the fight. But when he dropped the staff, they would start losing. And the thing about the staff is synonymous with work. And there were two people alongside of Moses who it says that Moses got tired in the battle. It didn't say that, and he sat down. It didn't say that they were holding up Moses, but the interesting thing was they were holding up his staff. And so you have to surround yourself with people who can help support the work, essentially, is what it boils down to. We don't need onlookers. We need people who are committed to the success of whatever it is we're pursuing. And so, in that example, they knew that whenever the staff was held up high, they were going to win. So let me get beside you and help you lift up this thing that's going to bring us to victory.
Awesome. You know what? I think when you're communicating with someone and you're really taking out time to share what your vision is and what your goals are and so forth, I think it's very important to understand, are you being valued, or are your thoughts, your passions, your desires being valued? Is the difference between really just being heard and really being understood. Are they really just trying to look, this is what I want to do, or really trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way you can be used and not be taken advantage of? There's a fine line between being used and being taken advantage of. And like he said, is this an environment that I can grow in? And you can't grow in an environment you're not being used. Period. We should want to be used. This is why we're here, but we shouldn't be taken advantage of. And if you're in an environment and you're not being valued, I think you really have to assess why. I think you have to really assess what's really going on and really making sure that what you're feeling is accurate. Because sometimes we don't feel valued because we're just not in the right place, or we don't feel valued because there's a misunderstanding. But we really have to take time out to really analyze that and assess that, because if you're not being valued and your thoughts are not being valued, your purpose, your passion, your desires, and so forth, along with what's being aligned with the vision, then I think that's something that you really need to take time out to consider.
And we talked about this before, that I am not my gifts. My gifts are a part of me that help me do what I'm supposed to do. And we find ourselves being devalued or taken advantage of when people can only see the gifts. Oh, well, he can do this. He's good at this. And so that becomes the only thing that the other person is concerned about. You performing. I'm not concerned about you as the individual. Just, oh, you're here, you can do this. And so when we recognize that happening, if that's happening, we should be able to speak to that. Because if it goes unchecked, offense is going to happen, and then we're going to end up losing relationships. Because maybe that person doesn't know they're doing that. If they do know that they're doing it, at least you can check them. Have that conversation. But yeah, and so that's important. But we're still talking about building a team, because the reality is that can very easily happen in a team dynamic. You the go-to person, you gonna make it happen. Man, you might be having the worst day of your life. And here I am placing a demand on you when I should really be saying, okay, well, hey, let him step away from this, and collectively, maybe the rest of us can pick up his slack while he gets, the recovery that he needs.
Exactly. This is an excellent topic. Look to you all. This is a process. It's a process. And we cannot make it more difficult because we are neglecting what we have control over. We cannot make this process much more complicated because we are neglecting what we have control over. We have to really understand why we're reaching out to people. We have to really understand what our vision is. We have to really understand how we want to use people. But like I tell everybody else, you have to step out. You have to step out. And I know too many people who are just shying away from that. They're afraid. They're doubting themselves. And it's understood. It's not to beat yourself up. But if you try and develop a team, you're going to have to step out. You're going to have to step out, really network with people, really talk with people, and be willing to share what your vision is. You probably don't have to share the whole blueprint, but share what your vision is. And one of the things that I've realized is when I really step out, when I finally step out, you know, having the people around you is always the thing that's, I'm always thinking, I don't know where these people are going to come from.
Yeah.
But it ends up being one of the least, you know, hardest things in some form of fashion. You know, people end up coming from anywhere, and you're like, wow, I wasn't even looking for you, but you just came out of nowhere.
I love that.
And that's why I said, you know, you have to really be willing to reach out and, excuse me for a minute, you have to really be willing to reach out and step out and be willing to really talk with people. Share your passion, share what your vision is, share what you have going on, share what your needs are. We have to get in the process, in the habit of sharing.
I mean, that's so good. And we talked about that before too. And the reality is that sometimes we're afraid to step out and to start because we're trying to figure out, okay, well, I need a team to do this, and you know, who can I call on to do that?
Yeah.
But the reality is that as you step out, people will begin to identify what's in them and how it resonates with the vision. And what they're going to be able to do is they're going to lend what's in them to the vision that you're doing. Right. You know, and so what you'll have is all of these people using their skill sets to make the vision come to pass. Because once again, we're coming together on the basis of the vision.
Exactly.
And we're saying, okay, well, man, I can do that. You know, that's too easy to me, you know, and that might have been your weakest area. And so now you have somebody who's running the ball in that area, and you're just steadily advancing towards the vision.
This is good. I'm ready for next week already.
Yeah, man.
I want you all to share the video you haven't. Like the video. Let us know what your favorite point was. Let us know what you got from it. We need the feedback. Please share your feedback. Please share the video if you haven't already. We're going to be back next week, right?
We will be back next week.
Okay.
Let me share one more point with the people.
Go ahead, man.
This is, you know, the practical. I believe all of us have been very practical, but and we've been talking about coming together on a partnership from the basis and the standpoint of vision first. But let's not dismiss the importance of being able to get along with the people that you're actually partnering with. You know, one of the worst things is being in an environment where it's volatile all the time, even though you have gifted people who are working together. You know, what that does is that makes you resent, and it makes you lose the excitement about the vision. And so at the end of the day, there's nothing that says that you all have to come into it being friends. But hopefully over the course of time, there's a rapport that's developed, a camaraderie, and you actually enjoy working with each other. You know, so I don't want to dismiss the importance and the significance of that, because there's nothing worse than going out in the world fighting battles, knowing that when you come back to base, you still have to fight more battles.
Man, that's excellent, man. You have to be able to get along no matter who you're working with, no matter what the vision is. You have to be able to get along with those people. Man, look, perspective is out. Dexter's new book, Executing Your Vision, my new ebook is out. Please cop those books. Please, please, please. I promise you it's going to help somebody. It's going to help you. We really appreciate your time and joining us. Please join us next week. Please share the video if you haven't already. And once again, my name is Dominique Bond. There you go. There you go.
Can they see it?
Hopefully they'll be able to see it. But
it's kind of bright, but execute vision. There you go.
There you go. Please do it. We want you to execute your vision because the time is now. If it's already in you, best believe it's time to start working right now. So please grab these books, look into these books. Easy reads, short reads. You don't have to spend a whole year trying to read it. Yeah. You're going to get all the nuggets right then and there, and you're going to actually get something from this. So once again, we really appreciate you. My name is Dominique Bond.
Dexter Peggins.
And please share the video, and we are out. Thank you so much.